Hi guys, so it seems that Boris Johnson's Brexit government is doubling down on the idea of refusing to ease restrictions on British companies hiring staff from abroad. Now, the Brexit mentality has clearly taken over where practical solutions have been rejected in order to satisfy a dogmatic stance. To hell with the consequences because Brexit can't be presented in a bad light. Now, in this clip from the BBC, it seems even the idea of temporary visas for up to 10,000 drivers is a huge no-no.
And the government has rejected a call to issue 10,000 temporary visas to EU workers to try to tackle an estimated shortage of 75,000 lorry drivers. Logistics UK, the trade body that represents freight businesses, says lots of restaurants and supermarkets are facing serious supply problems. But ministers say employers should invest in the domestic workforce rather than rely on foreign labour.
Okay, so the official response from the government, or the official excuse from the government, is the pandemic. It's the pingdemic and the pandemic that's the problem here, not Brexit. So you'll continually hear from government ministers say, yeah, there's a shortage at the moment because of the pandemic. Companies have to send people home. People are being pinged and they have to self-isolate, and that's why there's a shortage. But that excuse is going to run out pretty soon, because you can't go on for months saying that there's a pandemic, and that's why there aren't enough lorry drivers or staff in processing plants or picking fruit, whatever, because the British public have access to foreign media, and if they look across the water, they can see that there aren't these issues in Europe. So it's not the pingdemic and it's not the pandemic. It has to be something else. But the government will continually refuse to blame Brexit here. Now, there's also the possibility that they eventually will U-turn on this. But I'm surprised the U-turn hasn't come already, because we've seen for weeks now empty supermarket shelves. We've seen now for weeks that companies haven't been able to get the staff that they need. And this is filtering through to problems as we've seen in supermarkets, in restaurants. Companies can't get neither the staff or the materials they need to continue to operate. And the response from the government, it seems, is just hire British people. But when it comes to, for example, heavy goods vehicle drivers, we've seen before how it takes a long time to train them up. There aren't enough centres. There isn't enough availability at the centres. And this is not a practical solution. It makes more sense to ease the restrictions on visas and get more drivers in from Europe. Although many drivers don't want to return. That's also another problem. So who's going to be blamed for all of this? Well, at the moment, it's the pingdemic and the pandemic. That's going to run out pretty soon. The next will be probably blaming the European Union. But I think the Tories are eventually going to blame Boris Johnson. And you can see the newspapers have begun to turn on him. And there's a risk for Boris Johnson that this could be the one that brings him down. And then the Conservative Party will prepare the replacement for Johnson. And Johnson will carry the blame for the shortages, for the consequences of Brexit, and the new leader will start afresh. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.